Obasanjo says the votes don't count in Nigeria and unless things change, he won't vote again. From the international scene, outgoing United States President Joe Biden says we will allow Ukraine to use US-provided weapons to strike inside Russia. Details of these and more coming your way soon. Stay with us. Many thanks for joining us at this time. Now details of the news. President Bola Tinubu arrived in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil to attend the 19th at the State and Government Summit of the Group of 20 G20. The president, who arrived on Monday at 3:03 a.m. Nigerian time, was received by Ambassador Breno Costa in the Ministry of External Relations of Brazil. He was accompanied by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Tugar, Minister of Livestock Development, Idi Mukhtar Meya, and the Minister of Art, Tourism, Culture and Creativity, Anatu Musawa. Others are the Minister of State for Agriculture and Food Security and the Director General of the National Intelligence Agency, Ambassador Mohammed Mohammed. Tinubu is also expected to hold bilateral meetings on sidelines of the summit on the advancement of Nigeria's socio-economic reforms. The summit, with the theme Building a Just World and a Sustainable Planet, will focus on three dimensions of sustainable development: economic, social and environmental, and the reform of global governance. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo has said Western liberal democracy is not working for the country, stating that votes don't count in Nigeria and unless things change, he won't vote again. Obasanjo made this known in his remarks at the 2024 Youth Governance Dialogue organized by the Youth Development Center of the Olusegun Obasanjo Presidential Library held in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital. Speaking during an interactive session with youth, the former president stated that for youth to change the narrative, they must be positively instructive. He said no visible development has been recorded in the country, just as he also berated successive governments after his tenure for alleged poor handling of the power sector.
It doesn't matter your number. You write the figure, and they say go to court. And then you are not sure you are going to take justice in the court. So what are you voting for? What democracy are you talking about? So if you are still in that form, then good luck to you.
Where young people engage and are engaged by His Excellency Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, where we talk about concurrent leadership issues in Africa and receiving mentorship on how we can solve those problems.
We discussed the barriers women face with regards to political or representation in governance. Women are usually not included in peace processes, in governance processes, despite the fact that we have been granted 35% affirmative action to hold public position and opinions in Nigeria. So we have talked about the causes of these barriers, which include socioeconomic causes, cultural context, religious misconceptions, and so many more of them.
Also speaking at the event, Senior Program Development Officer, Youth Development Center, Olusegun Obasanjo Presidential Library, noted that the Youth Governance Dialogue is a platform for young minds to engage Obasanjo on issues in Africa, including receiving mentorship on how to solve these problems. And now, joining us now, we have Justice Ojeno, who is a legal practitioner. Good evening and thank you so much for joining us on our news. Okay, all right, if you're with us, could you quickly tell us what are your thoughts on the just concluded Ondo governorship election? Okay, Barrister Justice, thank you so much for joining us at this time. So if you could tell us, what are your thoughts on the just concluded Ondo governorship election? Okay, it seems we'll still get back to him later. Now moving on to other stories. Vice President Kashim Shettima has launched Grand Challenges Nigeria GCNG, a national innovation program aimed at revolutionizing Nigeria's healthcare landscape through locally developed solutions. The initiative, which is part of the Global Grand Challenges Network, will focus on maternal and child health challenges in the first phase. Speaking on Monday when he launched the GCNG at the Presidential Villa Abuja, Vice President Shettima told the audience that the initiative became necessary following an urgency occasioned by the rapid pace at which the world is evolving in the realms of science and technology. In his keynote remarks, Minister of Innovation, Science and Technology, Chief Uche Naji, said the Grand Challenges Nigeria is aimed at developing local solutions to critical issues confronting Nigerians. On his part, Chairman of the House of Representatives Committee on Nutrition and Food Security, Honorable Chike Okafor, commended the commitment of the Vice President and the dedication of the federal government to the launch of the initiative, noting that the program would go a long way in complementing existing efforts in addressing food insecurity and malnutrition in Nigeria. In his remarks, Chairman of the Board of Trustees Nutrition Society of Nigeria, His Highness Muhammad Sanusi II, said the responsibility of addressing issues of malnutrition and food insecurity requires focused efforts and collective actions, which, according to him, the Grand Challenges Nigeria initiative is designed to contain. The House Committee on Urban Development and Regional Planning has expressed dissatisfaction with the implementation of the renewed estate project in Oyo and the substandard construction of the Ume-to-Spencer-Isin Slum Upward Road in Oron, Akwa Ibom State. Committee Chairman Representative Awaji Inombe-Kabiante criticized the 4 contractors involved on the project, urging the engagement of more competent professionals to ensure proper execution.
Would have gone beyond this, because if you say the compensations were concluded the last 2 weeks, what is here dates beyond 2 weeks. So the speed is also not encouraging for a project of this magnitude. You would have expected to find more hands than what we are seeing. You could see only just one. Is it one dozer?
The lawmaker also accused the contractors Springwell Intercontinental Resources, Sunsoi Trust Global Link, Yusung Nigeria Limited and Login Limited of sabotaging the federal government's renewed housing initiative. The committee has summoned the Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Architect Ahmed Musa Dangiwa, and the 4 contractors to appear on Thursday to address the delays and challenges affecting the projects.
We are working with this government to ensure that whatever is due the citizens will be delivered, especially as they come from taxpayers' money. That is the only way we can encourage ourselves to even pay more taxes in line with the proposals to, of course, modernize our tax system. So we will be inviting the contractor for further clarifications.
And now joining us, we have Justice Ojieno, a legal practitioner, who is here to talk about how the past election went. Good evening once again, and thank you so much for joining us on our news. Alright, if you can hear me, could you please share your thoughts with us on the just concluded Ondo governorship election?
Okay, I can hear you loud and clear. First, I think that it was a show of shame. It is a sign that there is serious retrogression in the way we conduct our elections in this country. Despite the fact that it was an off-cycle election, and there's supposed to be more staffers of INEC on deck, in fact, and the security operatives too, and everybody just concentrating on Ondo State. It was a grand show of shame. There was a serious thuggery, violence, and one of the worst case scenarios of vote buying in the history of elections in this country. So that's generally my take, and I'm seriously disappointed in the rank and file of INEC and every other major stakeholder that ordinarily would have just made this a walk in the park.
Okay. So for the election, like you mentioned, vote buying seemed to be an issue. Could you please tell us what are the existing laws and regulations that prohibit vote buying in Nigeria, and what are the challenges faced in prosecuting such cases?
Okay, the major law, of course, especially the present one that is affecting vote buying in Nigeria, is the Electoral Act, and it criminalizes purchasing of voter cards and inducing voters generally on election day and all. And I commend you to the provisions running from section 117 of the Electoral Act through 126. You will see that it is abundantly replete with sufficient provisions to nip this malaise in the bud. But again, we have a situation where we have beautiful laws on our books, but implementation has always seriously been the challenge. The political will to prosecute some of these offenders are not there, because the persons who actually carried the winners in the election too perpetrated parts of this vote buying. So they will never even have the political will to prosecute the persons who won the elections for them and the persons on the other side too who participated in exactly the template mode of winning an election in Nigeria. So that's why it will never ever practically be nipped in the bud. Unfortunately, so we feel that if by any chance maybe we have another Yar'Adua that can rise up and say that his own election that puts him in the office was not free and fair, maybe that's the day where we will be able to get a proper political will to actually fight these actions that ensure that it is the politicians that choose themselves for the office and they don't bother for it to be the people that choose them for the office. Maybe that's when we'll be able to really fight this. But as long as these people keep recycling themselves in power using these weaknesses in our system, I do not think that we will be able to arrest these developments in the coming years.
Okay, all right. So what reforms would you recommend to strengthen Nigeria's legal framework against vote buying?
Okay, my major reform would be for there to be a separate courts, separate tribunals to handle electoral offenses generally. And I'm not the first to prescribe this. So many lawyers before me have prescribed this, and that's why it will also be the lowest hanging fruits from my lips that this is one way that we should go. Another thing that I think that we should do is to ensure that INEC itself is not made a respondent in electoral petitions, because if you make them respondents, they will go all lengths to prove to you, whether rightfully or wrongfully, that they were up to the task. And there is a presumption of regularity pursuant to our Evidence Act in their favor, that anything a INEC does or anything any INEC staffer does is right, and it is for you now to prove them wrong. And we know that in order for you to prove them wrong, sometimes you need to get documents from them. Sometimes you need to get depositions from them, and they will not depose to you in good faith. They will not make the documents readily available to you in good faith, because it will make them a smack of shame and odious odor. So that is why it is very important constitutionally and legally to separate them from the parties who are contending in any electoral dispute, so that they will be made to to be fair, to be in the middle at least as much as possible, so that we'll not be having this theater of the absurds that we'll keep having every time there is an election in Nigeria. I think that with those two, and the strengthening of our institutions generally, the police should have lesser roles in elections. We should have more national orientation. We should let the people know that the day you sell it, elections are one day, but the consequences in Nigeria are 4 years. So the day you sell it, it doesn't matter how they tag this, they even tag this election, Diboko Sebe, meaning that in Yoruba it means vote in a particular way and cook a pot of soup. We should always remember that one pot of soup is not enough to cater for the electorate for 4 years. So when we keep national orientation agency, we empower them and we allow them educate the people from time to time. When these politicians come with these attempts to buy their votes, they will not sell, and sometimes they may even collect the money, which is also criminal, and vote according to their conscience.
Ikora, we thank you so much for being a part of our news at this time. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure.
All right, that's Justice Ojieno, a legal practitioner. You're still on to the news on Galaxy TV. Let's go on a break. When we come back, the news continues. We are glad to have you back. Now, for more updates and latest news, please visit our website www.galaxytvonline.com. Connect with thoughts on our X handle at Galaxy TV. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Galaxy TV News. You can follow and interact with us on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Galaxy TV. Remember to follow and tag us on our Instagram page as Galaxy TV. Our social media platforms are user-friendly and can always accommodate your live updates and comments, as you can easily scan our IG QR code. The chairman of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms, Taiwo Oyedele, has clarified that the proposed tax reform bills before the National Assembly are not aimed at targeting or undermining any region. Speaking at an interactive session organized by House of Representatives, Oyedele stated that the reforms aim to enhance efficiency and increase revenue for states based on consumption patterns. The bills transmitted by President Bola Tinubu in September include the Nigeria Tax Bill 2024, the Tax Administration Bill, the Nigerian Revenue Service Establishment Bill, and the Joint Revenue Board Establishment Bill. These bills seek to update tax laws, streamline administration, and create new legal frameworks for taxation in the country. However, state governors, particularly the Northern Governors Forum, have opposed the derivation-based VAT distribution model proposed in the reforms. President Tinubu rejected calls for the withdrawal, emphasizing the need for reform. Oyedele explained that under the current VAT Act, revenue is allocated 15% to the federal government, 50% to state and the FCT, and 35% to local governments.
Section 40 of the Value Added Tax Act today, it says that when we collect VAT, the federal government should take 15%, the state should take 50%, and local government should take 35%. The amount that is to the credit of states and local government should be shared as follows.
As Federal Inland Revenue Service, ours is to implement the law passed by National Assembly. So we are here today as an observer to listen to the process of law, because our duty is only implementation. We are not a policy formulator. We only listen, and whatever the law that is passed down to us, we implement.
Speaker of House of Representatives Venerable Abbas Tajuddin confirmed that the House has not taken a stand on the bills, but will scrutinize their content and make necessary amendments. Deputy Speaker Benjamin Kalu emphasized the importance of public input and clear provisions to ensure equity, inclusivity, and sustainable development.
The House has not taken any definitive position on these bills. Our role is to scrutinize them thoroughly, ensuring they align with the best interests of our constituents and the nation at large.
Tax reforms should be rooted in our collective aspirations to create a tax regime that works for all Nigerians, regardless of their economic standing. Most distinguished colleagues and our invited guests, streamlining taxes should aim at incentivizing key sectors where taxation drives innovation, empowers businesses, and uplifts the most vulnerable among us.
Now we move to the international desk for the news.
Hello and welcome to the Foreign News. Outgoing United States President Joe Biden will allow Ukraine to use U.S.-provided weapons to strike inside Russia. Various news outlets report. 3 sources familiar with the matter, including 2 U.S. officials, told newsmen that Ukraine plans to carry out long-range attacks using the weapons in the coming days. The White House has not commented on the report, but Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that the missiles would speak for themselves. Vladimir Zabarov, a Russian lawmaker, said that allowing Ukraine to strike inside Russia with U.S.-supplied missiles would lead to a third world war. According to newsmen, the lawmaker added that the Russian response would be immediate. The move by Biden comes as he prepares to leave office in 2 months, with President-elect Donald Trump taking office on January 20th. Trump and members of his incoming administration have indicated that they are more skeptical of heavily supporting Ukraine in its war against Russia, and it is unclear whether Trump will reverse the decision to allow Ukraine to use the U.S.-supplied weapons inside Russia.
And that's it for now, but do join us at 9 p.m. for our primetime news. My name is Iribami Salako.